I like performance cars. Come on! And I like estate cars.
It's all right.
And that's why I love performance estate cars. Well, in this video, I'm going to drag race 6 amazing performance estate cars over a standing quarter mile. I'll also drive every single one, and at the end, I'll rank them to give you my final verdict. Whose fanboys will be cheering the loudest? I'm Matt Watson, you're watching Carwow.
And I'm going to start with the M3 Touring. Why? Because it's had a midlife facelift, and as a result, the 3-litre twin-turbo straight 6 got a bump in power from 510 to 530 horsepower. Although, to be honest, I don't think I need it, because here's what happened when I timed the pre-facelift car from 0 to 60.
BMW says this car should do 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds, but I'm going to find out for myself using my specialist timing gear down here. Let's launch it. Oh, scrabbling at the tarmac, but I bet it beat that time. 3.37, you bet it did. Wow, this is so quick.
As engines go, the S58 engine in this M3 is one of the best around, but it can't stay on top forever. BMW is already testing an M3-sized electric car as part of its next generation Neue Klasse models. And even if some kind of internal combustion M3 does survive, you can bet it'll be a hybrid. But this might not be a bad thing, because going hybrid can unlock simply ridiculous power levels, as AMG proved with the new C63.
Let's have a look at what exactly is powering this car. So you've got a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine which is mounted longitudinally. It puts out 476 horsepower. It is the most powerful 2-litre 4-cylinder production engine in the world, and it's been assembled by Shafat Malik. The big thing about this car is the fact that it's a hybrid. You see, on the rear axle is a 204 horsepower electric motor. That has a 2-stage gearbox, and the second gear comes in at over 80 miles an hour, so it's only really for high-speed use, that second gear. Now, that electric motor can send power to the rear axle or push it forward as well to the front axle, because of course this car has an all-wheel drive system. When you combine that with a 9-speed automatic gearbox and launch control, it should be pretty quick off the mark. But exactly how quick? Let's find out. This car is actually the C63 Saloon instead of the Estate, but AMG says both versions will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.4 seconds. But can it go even quicker? And maybe it will beat the incredible time I managed in the M3 Touring.
Let's do this. .03. That's insanely fast. This car is crazy.
So in terms of speed, the M3 can't match this bonkers AMG, but it isn't all good news. This hybrid 4-cylinder sounds absolutely rubbish compared with the old car's awesome V8.
It's like your favourite metal band bringing out an album of acoustic covers. But AMG aren't the only ones who had to downsize their engines to satisfy emissions rules.
You see, the old RS4 had a 4.2-litre naturally aspirated V8. It loved to rev and it sounded amazing. This is a 2.9-litre V6. Still, it does have 2 turbochargers, so it has the same 450 horsepower as the old V8 engine, but torque is actually up from 430 Newton meters to 600.
As a result, Audi says it'll do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.1 seconds, but I think it'll go even faster than that.
Yes! That's 60 way back there. Gonna keep on going. 0 to 60, 3.5 seconds.
That's quick, but it's still slightly slower than the M3 and C63. But that's not the only version of the RS4 Audi made. This competition model has less sound deadening, upgraded differentials, new suspension, and revised gearbox tuning to make it quicker, louder, and more focused than ever. But is it any faster? Well, I'm going to jump back into the C63 to race all these cars over the standing quarter mile.
3, 2, 1.
Come on, I'm ahead of the BMW. Woohoo! Come on, BMW! Come on! Come on! Oh, it's actually gapping it. Oh, I'm gaining at the top end. MG fanboys, look at you.
I'll reveal how fast all these cars went and compare them to the M5, RS6 and E63 later in this video. But speed doesn't tell the whole story. This AMG C63 S estate costs over £100,000 and the M3 Touring Competition starts at £93,000. Meanwhile, the Audi RS4 Competition is a bit of a bargain. It costs just over £80,000. Sadly, it's the last RS4 that Audi will ever make, because confusingly they've decided to replace it with an all-new model called the RS5 Avant. Why have they done that? The RS4 name is legendary. I can't understand why they want to get rid of it. And it doesn't look as good as this. It's easily more attractive than the AMG and way less divisive than the BMW. But is this beauty more than skin deep?
Here on the inside, upgrades over the standard A4 include RS sport seats, so they are body hugging and they have quilted leather. In fact, it's Nappa leather, it's super soft. You also get an RS perforated leather steering wheel with RS badging, and it's got the flat bottom because Audi likes flat bottoms. Then you get Audi RS sport styles, and you have some special like RS related data on there, so you can check your RS, see how hot your differential is, your gearbox and all that kind of stuff.
There's plenty of RS-ness in the back too. You get the same quilted leather seats as the front and this lovely carbon fibre trim, plus it's roomy enough for adults. It's also pretty good at carrying luggage. You get 495 litres of boot space, which is just 5 litres shy of the BMW M3 Touring. However, the BMW has one special feature that I wish you got on every estate car: a hinged rear windscreen, so you can chuck in a bag without opening the whole boot. It's brilliant, and if I ran the country, I would make it a legal requirement to fit this to every new car. And there's plenty to like about the rest of the M3's cabin too, although it isn't quite perfect.
Here on the inside, the M3 Touring is no different to the M3 Saloon, and both cars have been updated with the new, huge, curving infotainment system and digital driver's display, which quite frankly is a little bit harder to use than the old system. However, it does have lots of M features on it, like M dials, M gauges and M NUS. Speaking of M NUS, we've got an M Sport steering wheel with the M pattern on it there. It's also carbon fibre, and you've got carbon fibre gear shift pedals, plus the easy access M1 and M2 configurable buttons. You also get an M gear selector and some ME buttons down there and a red starter button. You also have the M patterning here on the seat belts, and you've got M on the sills. You also get some M Sport seats, but these are the rather lovely upgraded carbon fibre bucket seats, and they are among the very best seats in any car in the history of the world. I absolutely love these seats. They also give your backseat passengers a little more legroom, but I'm not the only one who likes them, because it looks like AMG copied BMW's design for the new AMG C63. They even have similar vents to stop you getting a sweaty back, or maybe to let passengers jab you in the ribs if you're driving a bit too quickly. But that's definitely not the only upgrade over the normal C-Class. The C63 also gets this carbon fibre on the dash rather than black piano plastic, and you have an AMG Sport steering wheel with Alcantara on it as well. A nice metallic shift pedals. Then there are the two buttons here which control your different driving modes. Whoa, easy, down boy, down boy. That's the thing about hybrids, you never know if they're off or on.
And that's not the only issue I have with the C63's cabin. Sure, it looks great and it feels nice even in the back, and it has loads of tech, but it isn't particularly easy to use, and it gets worse when you need to carry luggage. This car's 320 litre boot is about 180 litres smaller than the M3 Tourings and RS4, mainly due to the hump caused by the hybrid technology. But as well as batteries and a motor, AMG added a few other tasty upgrades you won't spot straight away, including rear wheel steering, completely revised suspension and a drift mode. So what will it be like when I hoon it round a track?
Oh, you can feel the weight dropping down into the turn. Other than that though, it seems pretty agile, and the way it turns in response to the steering on track is actually very good. That rear wheel steering doing its thing. Whoa, it's got some poke out of there. And you do notice that weight, you do. But it doesn't mean that it's bad, and it doesn't mean that it's not fun. Here we go, boosting! It handles with a nice balance, it turns in well, it rotates nicely. You just can feel that weight. So, on track, you can feel this car's weight, but it doesn't mean it's not fun. It tells you what it's doing. You can really get it rotating into bends. It's very responsive to the steering. It's also responsive to the throttle. Yeah, I'm not in big slides or anything like that, but when you start to oversteer a little bit like, and you want to just level the car out, just get on the throttle and you'll get that traction again. I'm sure if you then jab the throttle really hard, you can send it sideways. It seems like a playful car that they've built that into it, but there is no getting away from the fact I almost went off the track there, too busy chatting. I think I'll turn this back on. Anyway, I am impressed.
Whoops, it looks like I need to work on my multitasking skills. And interestingly, this car has exactly the same problem. Its electronic brain has to deal with the engine, the electric motor, the two gearboxes, the electric turbocharger, and stability control for the four-wheel drive system. So it doesn't feel quite as direct as other, simpler performance cars. This certainly isn't the case in the Audi, which takes a much more old-school approach. In terms of upgrades, it's simple. As well as the new engine, it's 24mm wider than a normal A4 and has lowered stiffened suspension. It also has a revised all-wheel drive system, and in the UK we get the optional rear sports differential as standard. But despite this, BMW and AMG fans always seem to say the same thing about fast Audis.
Oh, yeah, Audis, they're no fun, are they? Not as good on track, are they? Yeah, whatever. But how often do you go on track? And if you do go on track a lot, get a proper track car, not a car such as this. But for fast road driving, Audis are fun, and I'll illustrate now. So I've got it in its sporty mode, going manual on the gearbox. Oh yeah, quattro grip, and it does move around. They've made it a lot more playful than... Bit of understeer there though, you will get that if you get too crazy. So you do have to watch what you're doing. Oh, and this thing does rip along and frickin'... That was a lot of air. Oh, and the way it landed was epic. So controlled. It does drive as fast and as grippy as you ever need a car to on the road, and obviously you can fill it full of stuff. You can have your Labrador in the boot, your kids in the back seats, all fine. Well, apart from feeling a bit car sick after you've just driven like an idiot. But it will do the business and put a smile on your face when you're ripping it down a country road. Mercedes and BMW fanboys can shut their traps. This is a fun car to drive.
But despite the long-standing rivalry between these brands, BMW obviously took a peek at Audi's homework when it developed the M3 Touring. Because the new G81 isn't just the first M3 estate, it's also the first with all-wheel drive. And that's not the only upgrade either. It's wider, lower and longer than the standard car. You also get adaptive dampers as standard with stiffer lower springs. And there's extra bracing under the car and in the engine bay. You also get a new limited slip rear differential and faster, more direct steering. But has it lost the M-car magic you've got with the old rear-wheel drive M3?
Wow. Yeah, this is something else. The engine is nuts, and because you've got four-wheel drive, it can deploy it. I had an M3 rear-wheel drive, and on this road here, this kind of conditions, it would just be engaging traction control the whole time. This though, all the power is going to the road and propelling me forward. It is bonkers, utterly bonkers. And what's really impressive is how well this car disguises its weight through the corners. And the steering is on point, it is so accurate, puts the car exactly where you want it. Once you've dropped your family off or whatever it is at the tip, take the twisty road back home and have some fun. That's what this is about.
This BMW is the best handling car I've driven so far. It's livelier than the Audi and so much more agile than the heavy Mercedes. But that's not all, because for the same price as an M3, you could get your hands on a used Audi RS6 Performance. This adds bigger turbos to the normal RS6's 4-litre V8, and this boosts power to 630 horsepower and 850 Nm of torque. It also cuts the 0 to 60 mph time from 3.6 to 3.4 seconds. But I have a sneaking suspicion it could actually beat the M3's time of 3.37 seconds.
Here we go. Oh, I like the countdown on the dash. That's a better time! 3.20!
But despite beating the M3, it's still slightly slower than the C63. But you know what? I reckon the RS6 is the best looking car here by a country mile, especially in performance trim with all the extra matte grey bits and black Audi badges. And the cosmetic upgrades you get with this pack aren't limited to the car's exterior either.
Audi has added Alcantara to the steering wheel. That feels sporty. The option of blue stitching on the sport seats instead of this normal silver stitching, and seat belts. Plus, the puddle lights don't just say RS6, but actually RS6 performance.
But a used Audi RS6 isn't the only twin-turbo V8 you can get for the same price of a new BMW M3. What about Mercedes? Well, at just over £92,000, the new E53 is a good match on price. And on paper, the 585 horsepower, 3-litre 6-cylinder hybrid has more power than the BMW. But I'm more interested in the previous generation AMG E63. Not only is a used example significantly cheaper than the latest E53, but it also has something up its sleeve that the new car simply can't compete with.
The best thing about this E63 is its twin-turbo 4-litre V8. Look, you can even see the turbos in there, which are in the centre of the V configuration of the engine, so the air has less distance to go to the intake. Now this engine puts out 571 horsepower and 750 newton meters of torque in the normal E63, but in this S version those figures increase to 612 horsepower and 850 newton meters of torque. And this engine has been hand built by one person, and they've signed it here.
However, this massive non-hybrid V8 isn't the only thing about this E63 that seems a bit old school. Compared with the new C63, the cabin looks a little last decade too. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I love the way it looks. I love the design, the materials feel great, you still get a few key physical buttons, and the tech is comprehensive without being intrusive. Well, so long as you don't say the word Mercedes too often.
How can I help?
But as nice as this cabin is, I'm more interested in how close I can get to Mercedes' claimed 0 to 60 mph time, which for both the saloon and the estate is 3.4 seconds.
I'm going to launch it, and it's dead easy to do because this car will launch in any setting you have apart from comfort. So all you have to do, left foot on the brake, floor of the throttle, go to race start, release the brake. Blimey. 3.09 seconds to 60.
That's quicker than an RS6 and an M3, but it's slightly slower than the more powerful hybrid AMG C63, which did it in 3.05 seconds. And that got me thinking, what would happen if you combine the E63's twin-turbo V8 with the C63's electric motor? Well, that's exactly what AMG did when it built the GT 4-door hybrid. That car has a whopping 843 horsepower and 1,470 newton meters of torque, and Mercedes says that car will do 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. But what is the reality?
That was much smoother. Oh yes, 2.84 to 60. Oh yeah.
However, this car has a serious problem. Well, a couple of them actually. One is the fact that Mercedes never made an estate version. Second is the price. New, it cost over £180,000, and you'll struggle to find a used one because they sold so few new ones. But there's another twin-turbo V8 hybrid out there that's a lot easier to get your hands on, the new BMW M5. At £114,000, or £116,000 if you want the Touring, it's significantly cheaper than the AMG. But I've spotted one area where it can't quite match that 843 horsepower monster.
We've got this 4.4 litre twin turbo V8. It's got 585 horsepower. However, it's mated to an electric motor, and combined the total power output is 727 horsepower and 1,000 newton meters of torque, and that drives all four wheels via an 8-speed automatic gearbox.
That's almost 120 horsepower less than the GT 4-door, but it's about 50 horsepower more than you get in the next most powerful car here, the C63 hybrid. But can the M5 beat that car's amazing 0 to 60 mph time of 3.03 seconds? Well, on paper, no. BMW claims it'll take 3.6 seconds, and this saloon is only marginally quicker at 3.5 seconds. But in my experience, BMW tends to lie in a good way, just like when I tested the M3 Touring. So let's find out the truth.
I've got my specialist timing gear up here. I'm going to time it to 60 miles an hour. Launch control. .41, blimey.
That is slightly quicker than BMW claimed, but it's still slower than the 0 to 60 times I got in the RS6 and E63 S. However, I have a feeling the torque from the M5's hybrid system might help it beat those cars in a longer quarter-mile drag race, so I'll be testing that later. But before that, I need to address another elephant in the room. I think this is the worst looking M5 ever made. At least I don't have to look at it while I'm driving it. And there's plenty of tasty upgrades inside that I do like.
So there's the M steering wheel with the centre marker there, your M tricolor stitching, your M1 and M2 pre-configured buttons so you can quickly change modes. You've also got the M Sport seats, which are very comfy, and they've got a little illuminated M5 logo there, and you can have them in this two-tone effect if you pay a bit extra. And you can get some M ambient lighting effects. Then on the digital dials, you have M graphics as well. All very, and I shouldn't forget this because I love this, the M tricolor here on the seat belts. You get them in the rear as well.
However, the biggest upgrade available for this new M5 is actually in the boot, because this is the first M5 since the V10 powered E61 that's available as a Touring. There's 500 litres of boot space back there, which is 34 more than the M5 Saloon. However, it's 65 litres less than you get with the RS6, and it's 140 litres less than an AMG E63 S Estate has.
So for hauling luggage, this gigantic M5 Touring is no better than the smaller, cheaper M3 Touring and the Audi RS4. But what about hauling ass in a drag race? Well, before I race these cars, I need to find out what they're like to drive, starting with the E63 S. I think this handles beautifully. It's got a good balance to it. You can really feel what the chassis is doing beneath you, so you can play with the weight transfer and really just enjoy the car moving around. Yet it's stable and predictable. And the steering's got a nice meaty feel to it. You can tell what the front wheels are doing. It does feel like a real proper sporty car, and it makes it fun. It really does. I love it. And it's an absolute monster.
But the most monstrous thing about it is the drift mode. Yes, I know you can get this on cars like an A45S these days, but the E63 S was the first ever Mercedes production car to get it. Put simply, it disconnects the drive to the front axle and sends the whole 612 horsepower to the back wheels. Yes, I know this is completely pointless, but if AMG fitted this feature, I have to test it. And in the interest of fairness, I should see how easy this Audi is to drift as well. But there's a problem.
There's no rear-wheel drive drift mode on this RS6. I mean, Audi managed to do a drift mode for the RS3, but not for this. Look, it's very hard to get drifting. I'm just going to try it now. I'm just going to get some understeer. Yes, I've got some understeer. I've got a bit more of understeer there. Kind of going, sort of. Almost crashed into the bush in the end. Okay, let's take this new RS6 Performance for a hoon. Blimey! Obviously it's a torque converter gearbox, but that change from first to second was really quite bang. Makes it feel a bit madder. Another thing that I'm noticing is the engine just sounds more raucous. Really, really funny, that is. In fact, there's something about this car which feels a little bit more AMG than RSE, and that is a good thing. No offense, RS guys, but wow, it's just got that mad edge to it. What a nutty car. And it'll move around and rotate on you. Crazy, crazy car. You know, this is a big, practical, comfy estate, which truly does have a dual personality. Right, M5, the beast. The big, heavy, yet powerful beast. Pretty easy. That was easy. You could just hold it. I don't think you'd be able to do it for long because of the weight. It'll just chew through its tyres, but it did what a BMW should do.
However, a BMW should also be able to put a big grin on my face without the need for an empty runway or an unlimited supply of tyres. But I'm worried its 2.5 tonne curb weight will make it too much of a handful to enjoy on normal roads.
First things first, the steering just feels the least natural of the cars I've driven. But that bit's good. And this car does want to slide around. I mean, it's really quite good. Can't believe actually what BMW's engineers have achieved with this car. I totally forget that it's a hybrid. The power delivery is so smooth and this craziness. But while it is kind of like a bit of a mental thing, wow, it's the most fun, I think, on a road like this, well, a closed road, where you can just slide it about. And there is something about the weight, you do just notice it. The way the car moves and it oversteers is great fun, but you don't want that on the road and you do feel the bulk. So on a normal road, I'll be a bit more nervous of it than the other two cars. But wow, I've got to say, considering what BMW's engineers were up against in terms of the brief. You've got to build a hybrid because of emissions, blah, 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 blah. What a machine, and what a fantastic job they have done. I mean, well done.
But here at Carwow, we know the ultimate way to test a car's performance is in a good old-fashioned drag race. So now it's time for me to jump back in the RS6 and race these cars over the standing quarter mile.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, come on! That was a good launch!
Oh, bit of a skip into second gear.
He had me off the line, but this is just mental.
How is it still beating me? What on earth is going on?
So then what exactly happened? And how do all these cars' quarter mile times compare? Well, the RS6 won. It completed the standing quarter mile in 11.3 seconds. The M5 Touring took 11.4 seconds. The C63 S Estate took 11.5 seconds. The M3 Touring took 11.6 seconds. And the E63 S took 11.7 seconds. And finally, the RS4 Competition was last, crossing the line in 11.9 seconds.
But aside from straight line speed, how do these cars rank overall? Well, Molly's favourite is the AMG C63. It's too heavy, too expensive, and that 4-cylinder hybrid doesn't have enough character. Next is the Audi RS4. It's a lovely car and a great all-rounder, but it feels a little bit outgunned in this company. Then it's the Mercedes-AMG E63 S. It's also fitting its age now, but it makes up for that with its fabulous old-school V8. The new BMW M5 Touring has a different problem. It relies on so much technology to manage all that power. It doesn't feel as pure as M5s of the past, but you can't argue with the instant torque from that hybrid system. But which of the final two cars is my favourite? I do love the Audi RS6 Performance. However, I prefer the BMW M3 Touring. It's just a bit lighter, a bit more agile, a bit more crazy feeling, and you know, it blends the two worlds perfectly. A performance car that puts a smile on your face and a practical estate car. It is the ultimate win-win for a petrol head.